Hey, this is Meridith Elliott Powell, and welcome to another episode of Sales Logic. It is 9 a.m. Eastern, Saturday morning, and it is time to talk sales. Hanging out here with my co-host, Mark Hunter. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing good. You're already up and selling. I'm up and selling. So, hey, let's do the show, shall we?
All right, let's hit the video and rock.
Prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
This is Sales Logic.
All right, we are back alive. Anyway, I'm a bit of a crazy person this morning, trying to deal with all this nutso weather, trying to deal with flight delays and get to a speaking engagement. What are you going on this morning, Mark?
Well, I've had one coaching call already, and at 8:30 I've got to dash off to another thing. But for you, let's see, you live in one city, but it's 9 o'clock in the morning and you're already in another city sitting in the Delta Crown. So you get the award for getting up early, because I did trade an email with you. I did trade an email with you at like 4:30 or 5:30 this morning. So I knew you were up early.
I got to do what we got to do, right?
Right.
All right. So let me just take it to the top and let's talk a little bit about how the show works. Every week we come to you talking sales, one of our favorite subjects. We cover a question from you, the audience. It's the best part of the show. We've got a hot topic, a key takeaway, and we are going to recommend a book. So Mark, what is on tap for today? I love the fact that, oh gosh, I'm not going to pronounce your name correctly, so I'm not even going to try, but you are right. Let's party. So Mark, let's party.
Hey, let's go. The topic today is the power of the upsell, what it is, why it matters, and how to do it. The question, let's jump into the question right now. It comes from Hank in Biloxi, Mississippi. It's been 2 years since our sales team has been out face-to-face with customers, and we have more than dropped the ball on doing our cross sales and upsells. The last 2 years has been about keeping our head above water. Now we need to get back with it. What's the best way to get my sales team conditioned to upsell and cross-sell again? Because that's where the money's made. The money's made in the upsell.
Big time. Well, let's talk about it this way. I mean, Mark, I don't know how you feel about this, but I just hate the word upsell. I hate the word upsell. I hate the word cross-sell. The first thing you need to do is let's take it off the table, because if you want to condition your team to do the upsell, you have to help them realize that the upsell is as or more beneficial to the customer than it is for your organization. You have to really believe that, here's the importance of it is, number one, help the team understand the why. Because once you have sold one product to a customer, they trust you. They believe in you. They believe you are going to have their back. So if you are not uncovering more needs, you're risking breaking trust with the customer.
Spot on with that, because the cheapest customer we'll ever get is the one who we already have. Now, I don't mean cheap in terms of cheap. What I mean is that we've already gone through the effort to acquire them as a customer. So it only makes sense to service them. And the other piece is this: we don't close a deal, we open a relationship. And stop and think about that. I'm going to encourage everybody to really stop and think about that, because really, if I open a relationship, I want to be able to continue to provide them and help them do better at whatever it is that they need to do better in. What better way than to help provide them with additional services or products that I can provide for them?
Yeah, I'd also say that, Hank, you need to start by really feeling out whether the team feels trained. Do they feel comfortable? Do they have the talking points and things that they need? I mean, let's assume that Mark is my customer and it's time to upsell. Mark. You can't just assume that I'm skilled to do that. You need to talk about opening lines. If I haven't been face to face with Mark in 2 years and I haven't had an upsell conversation with him in 2 years, how am I going to open that? What are you going to do to tell me to make that phone call? What does that look like? Brainstorm what types of questions I should be asking Mark to uncover those needs. And then how would I close and take action? In essence, what I'm talking about is if you want to condition that team to upsell, it is time to do the unthinkable. It is time to role play.
And when you role play, one of the easiest ways to do it is you and I both have a friend who has a consulting business, and he has a grid, and I can't remember the name that he calls it, but he lists across the top all of the services that his consulting agency provides. And down the left-hand side, they list all the clients, and they begin to do a check, 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 check for all of the respective services. And the idea being is that if they have a client and they look at it and they go, wait a minute, I see this client, we provide them these services. And this client's in a similar type of business. We should be providing them the same services. It becomes a great, easy reference tool for you to begin to determine where are the best opportunities that I can help you with. Now, we've lost Meridith here for just a moment, but she's going to be back with us. So let me just go ahead and continue this conversation, because what this is about, it's about helping identify what are the best opportunities for us to be able to help you better. Mary, you're back. Welcome.
I'm back. I'm not exactly sure what happened, other than the fact that I would say that this Delta Lounge has pretty weak Wi-Fi. I think that's what's going on here. So I'm not really sure what you said in the last minute, but thanks for.
It was really good. It was really good. But don't worry, I didn't talk about you in negative terms at all. So hey, let's talk about this. What should the manager do? In other words, one of the things that I always contend is it's easy for people to say, oh, we need to upsell. But if you don't inspect what you expect, why should you ever expect it? So from a management standpoint, I think you got to make it part, like you were saying, role play. You've got to train on it. You've got to make the conversation part of your weekly sales meetings.
Absolutely. Change the goals too, to make some of the goals a new, don't just have a sales goal. Have part of the sales goal be new client acquisition, and part of the sales goal be client depth and expansion. So make sure that salespeople are being measured on expanding existing relationships. Another thing that you need to do is really help them choose the right prospect list, to go back through their customers and present to you 20 or 30, maybe even 50 that they're going to focus on in order to do that. That way you're able to see what they're thinking. Are they choosing the best customers? Is it the right alignment? So really getting that piece figured out.
Yeah. This is where it really comes down to, you need to take your existing customers and make sure you bucketize them. I use that term a lot, bucketize them, but list them by industry type, ICP, ideal customer profile, because then that's going to help you. You're going to identify very quickly, just like our friend does in his consulting agency. He can quickly identify, wow, this client should have this additional service. This client should have this additional. And it becomes very, very easy to say, oh, now this makes sense where I should be going. Because here's the whole thing. Salespeople will always do what is the easiest activity out there. You as a sales manager have to make it easy for them to identify. And like we were saying earlier, what are the questions that they need to be asking to get that conversation going, to understand, to make it easy for them to add on and increase the opportunity for us to help you as a client.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think that you have to help salespeople, or if this is, if you're like Mark and I and you're more of an individual operator, what's in it for you? I mean, Mark said it beautifully when he said the cheapest customer you'll ever get is the one you already have. They already know, like, and trust you. You have done the heavy lifting. You have done the hardest part. The hardest part is identifying the right target market. The hardest part is getting in the door. The hardest part is that first conversation and that first sale. Why would you walk away at this point? If I bought something from you and I was happy with you, I am ready to buy other things. So whether it's you as the individual or helping your sales team understand that, tell them this is going to be the fastest way to reach your goal.
See, this really picks up on what you always talk about, the follow-up. The sale is made in the follow-up. Well, the sale is made in the follow-up. You follow up to get the initial sale, and then you keep following up, and you continue to provide them with additional services. You never let go of a client. This is where one thing that I detest is when sales teams have this very defined delineation. Okay, you acquire the customer, but as soon as you acquire them, they go someplace else and they go over to customer service or they go customer support, whatever. That's fine. But then customer service and customer support has to be trained.
Right.
How do they upsell? Because otherwise it just stops. All they do is they just service, they just support the customer, but they never service and support the customer by bringing them additional services. So this is very key. Look at how your organization's structured. Look at how it works, and you got to be able to build on it accordingly. So anyway, we got a lot of great feedback coming in, but we should probably kind of shift over to the topic, because the topic really builds on what Hank was talking about: the power of the upsell, what it is, why it matters, and how to do it. So I got a question for you. When you were in the banking industry, how much did you look at what individual customers were worth to a business? In other words, how did that look to you as a banker?
Well, first of all, I think it's really interesting. I mean, I was a banker way back in the early 2000s and 1990s. And at that time, the cross-sale ratio of a customer was somewhere around 2 to 3 products. The average customer had anywhere from 2 to 3 products. They had need of up to 14 to 15 products. So our potential for cross-sale was huge, and it's still that ratio today. So, so we looked quite a bit at the opportunity, but the biggest problem we had was that our goals never matched client depth. And so I think that's where we would get derailed. I love Adam's quote here. Upselling is really providing your clients with options in addition to insightful education that you provide them in making a decision to buy from you. What I love about what Adam said here is, remember, it is not your customer's responsibility to know what products and services you offer. That they have a full-time job. It's your job to understand the needs of your customers and match your products and services to what they have going on.
That is so spot on. And that starts with the conversation. You've got to be able to have the conversation with them that allows them, because in banking, for instance, reason I brought that up is because I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
The traditional customer doesn't realize all the products and services that a bank can provide. They just don't. And unless the banker is willing to have that conversation, not to throw things across the desk at them, but to ask them about their business, ask them about their needs, ask them about their goals, then you begin to understand what are the products and the services I can line up to it. That same premise applies in every single business for every single salesperson out there.
Absolutely.
And we are leaving so much business on the table. And the way to look at it, we are leaving so much customer potential on the table, because, the customer isn't going to achieve their level of success unless you help them.
Absolutely. The other thing, Mark, in addition to everything that you're talking about, is we're burning customer relationships by not upselling. Just because you brought up banking, I want to tell you a great story. When I went into the banking industry, the financial institution I went to work for required me to move my accounts to their bank. Makes sense, right? I mean, I was going to be representing that financial institution. They wanted me to have my money there. And when I moved my deposit relationship over there, the young woman who was helping me open my accounts asked me if I'd ever thought about opening an equity line. And I didn't even know what an equity line was, a line of credit on my house. But she had seen from my application that my house was paid off and that I had quite a bit of equity in it. Now, I told her I didn't know what that was. She explained it to me, and I was so excited because I had been wanting to remodel my bathroom, and I'd been wanting to add on a nice screened-in porch to the back of my home. But I thought I had to save up the money to do that. The point is, I was so mad at the bank that I had been with. I had been with them for more than 15 years because nobody had ever talked to me about how I didn't know what my goals were, didn't know what I wanted to do, and never had brought up a product or service. So you need to understand, when you don't upsell, when you don't cross-sell, the worst thing that can happen to you is not that a customer doesn't buy from you. The worst thing that can happen to you is they find out about a product or service they need from somebody else other than you. So I think cross-selling gets a misnomer because it's not about closing the deal. It's about exactly what Adam said. Are you providing options? Do they know they could do something and that you are on top of their goals and their opportunities?
You are allowing that customer to get to the next level. For you, when you suddenly realized what this other product was and you could do it, you could achieve, you were thankful. And then, like you said, you were upset that your previous bank had not had that conversation with you. So stop and think about this for a moment. This is why I say we do not close a deal, we open a relationship. There are so many opportunities for us out there to be able to get, because we've already created trust. Customer's not going to buy from you unless there's that level of trust. So you've got that level of trust. You can have that conversation. And what's good is you can actually probe down with them to an even deeper level to come up with even more ways for you to help them. This again, again goes back to I don't like sales organizations that have as their objective, it's strictly new logo acquisition, new customers, new. What are you doing to maximize the opportunities and your ability to help existing logos, existing customers?
Absolutely. And again, I think if the biggest thing that Mark and I want you to take from this podcast today is that upselling is really about helping customers. Once you close that first sale, the sale isn't over. It's just beginning. I mean, as Mark said, you're opening the relationship. That was such a great quote, Mark.
Yeah. Here's something. The only good sale is one that leads to the next sale. Think about that for a moment. The only good sale is one that leads to the next sale. You want to, when you close this opportunity, and I hate that term, closing the deal, you want to already be in a position to where you're beginning to identify additional items, additional services. And you're doing that because you've already got the conversation going. You've got them thinking. Now, think about this from a business standpoint. You're B2B. You're selling into a business. Well, they've already got you set up as a vendor. They've got you in their list. They've got everything already established. It is much easier for them to procure additional products and services from you than it is to, now I got to go through and set up a whole nother vendor. I got to set up. See, you're doing them an incredible service when they can take that existing work that they've already done with you and just build on it. So stop and think about this for a moment. Not only is it a lower cost of additional sales for you because you've got this relationship, but same thing for the customer, because now they're really working more. I was with a CRO a couple months ago, and we were looking at their top 100 customers. And their top 100 customers were some of the Fortune 500 companies and Fortune 100 companies. And yet when we were looking at total revenue that company was receiving, the CRO's company was receiving, it was chump change. And we looked at it and we said, we run the risk of being pushed out, because looking at this company, they're 30, 40, 50, $60 billion in sales every year. And we're getting 0.1111% of their business in this industry. Unless we increase our footprint, we will not have a footprint at all. So when we talk about upselling or cross-selling, it's about becoming of relevant size to your customers, especially in B2B, that they now pay attention to you. They want to work with you. They want to meet with you, and you have much deeper and better conversations. So when we talk about what we're talking about helping you take your business to the next level. And what I just described in terms of Fortune 100 companies applies right down to the solopreneur.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love what Jim said. I had it up there for a few moments, was that he really encouraged his team to help first. then sell, because Jim's so right. I mean, if you help, it just leads to the sell. That's what we do. And Adam has a great point here. Cross-selling can showcase you not only as a subject matter expert to build that credibility, but also demonstrates you as being a strategic partner to your client's success. I mean, so important. I mean,
so spot on, because now you've got a bigger seat at the table. You can have a deeper conversation with them. You know, if you're providing them additional services, what does this get you? This gets you more meetings. This gets you more conversations. You become the indisposable person. What you want to do is you want to be part of their ecosystem that really they can't live without you.
Absolutely.
That's when you really got to that point that you really want to be at. So, hey, we should jump over to the book. You picked out. You've been tasked with the book list the last month, but you've picked out another great book.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to read it yet?
I have not had a chance. Yeah. I know Liz, and I've not had a chance, and that's embarrassing. I hope Liz is not listening to this. I hope she's not watching this. She's going to slap me.
I need to go on and write Liz a review, but it's Liz Wiseman, Impact Players. And we'll have a link in the show notes so you can pick it up. But it is a great book. I didn't carry it with me because I only have it in hardback, and I'm on the road for about the next 3 days and didn't want to be lugging a hardback with me. But Liz Wiseman, Impact Players, it's really how to not only attract the best and the brightest, but get those people to be fully engaged. In the age of the Great Resignation, it is full of innovative power techniques to really build not only a strong team, but you can really make it applicable to sales. It's a great read with a lot of tools and a lot of strategies and a lot of things you haven't heard before.
Okay, Liz, forgive me. I haven't read the book. Okay. I will make sure I get it done quickly. And I didn't want to make this sound like Mayor's the only one who reads. I read. Anyway, okay. Hey, let's jump into the lightning round. Lightning round, top 10 ways, top 10 upselling strategies. Ready?
All right. My favorite upselling strategy is to make a list of your top 10 customers and make a list of your top 10 products. Then do a match. How many products and services do your top 10 customers have? I'm going to bet you it's no more than 2 or 3. That opens the door to tell you where you need to start the upselling process.
I don't like it. That was what I was going to share. I wanted to go first. Okay. Anyway, hey, here's the next piece. You never end a sale. You never close a sale without already having on the table, at least in your head, what the next strategy, what the next product or service is going to be, because you've asked enough questions to get the conversation started.
Yeah. Number 1, sell the urgent need. Go ahead and close the deal of the thing that is most important to the customer. Don't try to upsell while still selling the first product or service, because people can't hear you until you take care of their urgent needs. So it might look something like this. Mark, we're going to go ahead and get that taken care of. I've already gotten the operations team on it. As soon as we close that, I'm going to circle back and we can talk about what's next for you.
And that's all because what you're doing is you're keeping it simple. Make it easy for the customer to buy from you once, and they'll come back and buy from you again. Now that doesn't count. That doesn't count as one. Here's the one I want to share. You always have to be asking yourself, what is the next logical extension from what it is that you sold them? You know, the easiest stuff to additionally sell them is what automatically bolts on. Go back to McDonald's. Go back to Burger King. What do? Or Burger King. Are they even around more? Anyway, but you go in and you get a burger. What naturally goes with it? Fries and a drink. I know you wouldn't know that because you don't do fast food, but it's the logical extension.
Right. Have a set of really great open-ended questions. Brainstorm them as a team so that you're always prepared, that really open the conversation beyond what you're immediately selling for, so that even in the initial conversation, you're still looking for upsell opportunities.
Go back into your customer database and who are those customers that you haven't talked to for 6 months or a year or 2 years, and you got to pick up the phone and re-engage with them.
Yeah. Role play. The only way you're going to get really good at cross-selling is to role play what it looks like to get comfortable with it.
If you're a manager, change the goal structure, change the quota where you put in place reward systems for the upselling and the cross-selling, the additional items that you sell with the customer.
Focus on it every week. Highlight an example.
Well, we lost Mary again there. Let me share with you another item. If you turn customers over to customer support or customer service, you have to train them and make it extremely easy for them to be able to cross-sell or upsell. Or if they're not going to get that way, then you need to restructure your organization to where the salesperson still has some of the responsibility within that customer relationship to be able to keep that going. One more piece that you want to do from a manager standpoint, it is very easy for managers to always be encouraging. Hey, go get new prospect. Now, key piece of prospecting is also getting additional business from existing customers. Hey, Mayor, I've been holding down the fort very well.
You have been. You've had to. I've gotten popped off 4 times.
That's
Let's
okay.
Close it down.
Why don't you share one more, and then I'll go ahead and close it down, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So my last thought on upselling is just do it. Just go out the door, try it in your very next conversation. Don't wait, just do it, because you realize if you don't upsell, you are going to break trust with your customers.
Hey, I'm going to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, hey, please consider telling a friend about our show. It's how we grow to help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
All right, we'll see you here next week, where I will be back in my home office, not popping off every 2 minutes, for another episode of Sales Logic, 9 a.m. Eastern. Please, if you have a question or a topic you want us to cover, reach out at saleslogicpodcast.com. Sell great this week, and we'll see you next week.